Ever hear this riddle? When is a laptop not a laptop? When it's a phone. No, really, this is the NexDock 2 and it's several things. A USB 3 hub with micro SD bay, a phone charger from its internal 51 watt hour battery equivalent to 13,800 milliamp hours at phone voltages, but most of all, a secondary expansion display for your flagship smartphone, adding a genuinely useful 1080p display, large trackpad and a really rather decent full-size keyboard. If you've ever used Continuum on a Windows 10 mobile phone or Samsung DeX on a Samsung Galaxy S8 or above, this is my S9 Plus, or Huawei's Easy Projection on any upmarket phone from that company for the last 3 years, all of these have operating systems that can take full advantage of external screens, keyboard and pointing devices in order to put up a true desktop UI on top of your phone's data, applications and connected services. I realise the concept here isn't easy to grasp, so I'm going to demonstrate it here live using Samsung's DeX system built into most decent Galaxy phones, but the Huawei system is very similar. It's vital to realise that the NexDock 2 has no traditional processor, it has no RAM, it has no built-in storage, though you can hook up a USB flash drive and put in a micro SD to the slot if your phone needs access to any of these. You plug the Samsung, the S9 Plus in my case, to the USB Type-C port here, and within a couple of seconds you see the Samsung DeX desktop. Now I've by no means optimized this yet, but you get whatever application shortcuts you want. You get running applications along the bottom, you get a desktop-esque system tray with controls and status icons. You bring up your phone's Android app tray and you start playing. Most core Android applications, most Samsung apps, and a surprising number of third-party favorites all recognize they have access to a windowing environment and launch as such, and you can even maximize many to the full 1080p if you like. But why would anyone want their phone to become a 1.4 kilogram laptop alike? Well, the biggest use case for the NexDock 2, and the reason why I backed it in the first place on Kickstarter, is for the road warrior. You're on the move, either in a parked car or sat in a train or plane seat, or perhaps sat in a waiting room somewhere. Either way, you're not in the office, you're not at home, and yet you want to get stuff done. Now, a surprising amount of stuff can be triaged on the smartphone itself these days, of course, with better touch-friendly mobile apps. But hands up if you've ever needed to reply in depth to a Gmail or otherwise get a few hundred words down in a document or Google Keep, and it's just more than you can face on a 6-inch phone screen with half of that taken up by a software keyboard. Hands up if you've ever needed to fiddle with numbers in Excel or sheets on the move and been utterly frustrated that the screen wasn't vastly larger. Hands up if you've wanted to read a USB memory stick, a flash drive, while mobile and realised you needed a hub or a dock or adapter. Hands up if you've ever needed to read things from a micro SD card and your phone either doesn't have a card slot or has one that's needed for existing content or has a second SIM in it. Such frustrations are all taken care of by the NexDock 2, and it works the other way around too. Think of the accessory as a laptop, so you're tapping away in Word or Google Docs or similar, absorbed in what you're doing, and yet you have the advantages of working on the phone. Notifications from WhatsApp, SMS and so on all natively arrive within the UI, and you can then reply to them with the full keyboard and with display real estate to spare. So, pros and cons. The NexDock 2 is, well, quite a bit cheaper than a laptop, currently £190 in UK pricing, excluding shipping though, and excluding any excise duties when arriving in your particular country, so do your homework. So yes, cheaper than most laptops of any power. Has just as many ports and bays. It never needs to be synced to anything since you're still on your phone and using its files. Never needs to be protected from spyware, malware or ransomware. You never need to wait while Windows updates itself or snarls up your bandwidth. The NexDock 2 has no hard disk or eMMC storage to slow down. It just runs at the speed of your phone's internal storage, which is usually pretty darn fast. It never needs pins or passwords since you're authenticated already on the phone via fingerprint or face before you're even hooked up. Plus, its battery life is about 6 hours per charge, including topping up the phone's battery while in use. So you'll finish a NexDock 2 session with the phone battery at 100%, hopefully. I think that's all quite a compelling proposition, though I admit it's not for everyone. If you need to just enter a few hundred words now and then on the phone, a simple £50 Bluetooth keyboard might be better. If you need a laptop that includes traditional Windows Win32 applications or want to do heavyweight audio or video editing, then a full Windows 10 laptop with SSD is needed, and hang the cost. If you just need notifications and texts on your existing PC, then there are software solutions, not least Microsoft's own Your Phone system. If you just need something with a keyboard that's online all the time, then a humble Chromebook may suffice. In short, there are a zillion ways to get things done in 2020, and the NexDock 2 is just one of them, but it appealed to me. I've had some horror stories supporting family and friends with Windows recently, spyware, search helpers, and any affordable productivity solution which is workable and doesn't involve Windows 10 gets my vote. And I guess I should mention another intended use for the NexDock 2 as an input device and display for the Raspberry Pi series of home build-it-yourself microcomputers, if you're fiddling with these. That's what some of these extra Type-C ports on the HDMI are for, but that's way outside my experience for coverage here. Overall, I have to say the NexDock 2 surpassed my expectations. In terms of price, it spans the gap between a posh Bluetooth keyboard and a full-on Windows 10 laptop, and is quite possibly the best phone accessory I've ever bought. Whether you treat it as a laptop or as a deluxe USB 3 expansion hub, whether you treat it as a spare HDMI display, as a power bank for your phone, it's more versatile than you might actually think.